So I want you to picture the scene for a second. It's June 2026.
Okay, setting the stage.
Yeah. You are standing inside Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, and you are just surrounded by almost 69,000 completely screaming fans.
Oh, wow. That's a massive crowd.
Right. It is just this deafening sea of bright yellow and vibrant blue everywhere you look. I mean, even the King and Queen of the Netherlands have flown in to take their seats in the VIP box for this.
Which just shows you how huge of an event this is.
Exactly, because what everyone is watching down on that pitch is like a true, undeniable David versus Goliath scenario.
Oh, for sure.
On one side, you've got Ecuador, right? This South American powerhouse with a population of over 18 million. And they've got a roster that's just stacked with players from top-tier European leagues.
Yeah, absolute heavyweights.
And then on the other side, you have Curacao, a Caribbean island with a population of roughly 156,000 people.
Which is just crazy. To put that population into perspective for this specific stage, they are the absolute smallest nation to ever qualify for this tournament in its entire history.
Which is exactly why our mission for today's deep dive is to unpack what can really only be described as a modern football miracle.
A miracle is definitely the right word for it.
We're pulling from a pretty fantastic stack of sources today to do this. We've got on-the-ground, really emotional reporting from the Straits Times, plus some really rigorous tactical breakdowns from FOX Sports and World Soccer Talk, and of course the raw match data from SofaScore.
All the numbers.
All the numbers. Because we're going to look at how a 0-0 draw utterly defied all statistical logic.
Yeah.
And what it teaches us about, tactical discipline, psychological resilience, and just the sheer unpredictability of international sports.
Because if you just look at the raw data sheet for this match, I mean, honestly, this result shouldn't exist. It just completely breaks the models.
Yeah. It really does. It's like watching a flyweight boxer step into the ring with a heavyweight contender, and instead of getting knocked out in the first minute, the flyweight simply refuses to let a single punch land cleanly for 12 rounds.
That's a great way to put it.
And we are looking at a Curaçao team that, let's not forget, just got dismantled 7-1 by Germany in their opening match.
Right, just crushed.
But then they somehow managed to hold off a squad full of elite superstars.
Well, to really understand the mechanics of this 0-0 draw, we have to look at the vastly different paths these two teams took to get to Group E.
Yeah, their journeys were completely different.
And maybe more importantly, the tactical mindsets they brought into the dressing room right before the referee blew that whistle.
So where do we start?
Let's start by looking at Ecuador. They have an elite pedigree coming into this tournament.
Absolutely.
They finished second in the notoriously grueling South American qualifying group, and they were trailing only the reigning global champions, Argentina.
I mean, their defensive record in that qualifying run was terrifying.
It was.
Their manager, Sebastian Bekasec, he built this system that conceded only 5 goals in 18 qualifying matches.
Just an impenetrable wall.
Right. And having a backline anchored by William Pacho from Paris Saint-Germain and Piero Hincapié from Arsenal, I mean, that is a luxury most national teams can only dream of.
Yeah, that's top tier.
And sitting right in front of them in the midfield is Moises Caicedo, Chelsea's $100 million man, basically acting as a human shield.
Exactly. It's an aggressive, suffocating structure. But now, contrast that machine with Curaçao.
Ranked 82nd in the world, right?
Ranked 82nd. And their preparation was anything but smooth. Their coach, Dick Advocate, who has over 40 years of managerial experience, he actually stepped down in February of 2026.
Wait, really? Just months before the tournament?
Yeah, due to family health concerns, he only returned to the sideline in May, literally a month before the tournament started.
Oh, wow. That kind of managerial whiplash usually just destroys a team's cohesion right before a major tournament.
It really does. And they didn't exactly glide in either. They fought tooth and nail, qualifying via a gritty 0-0 draw against Jamaica.
Gritty is the word.
And they're led by their 34-year-old captain, Leandro Bacuna, who plays over in the Turkish league. So it's a roster built on veterans, incredible defensive discipline, and basically making the absolute most out of having very little of the ball.
Which sets up the tactical clash perfectly. The narrative heading into the match was pretty clear. Everyone thought Ecuador would completely overrun them.
Yeah, that was the universal consensus.
But see, I want to dig into that narrative because before this match, Ecuador's coach, Becasero, he actually warned the press. He explicitly said, and I'm quoting here, "First, we are not Germany."
Interesting.
Yeah, and he urged his team to stay alert and really respect the opponent. Now, a lot of pundits wrote that off as classic coach speak.
Oh, totally. Like he's just trying to keep his $100 million midfield from getting complacent.
Exactly. After watching Curaçao give up 7 goals to Germany, you'd think he's just trying to keep them focused. But looking at the tactical profile of Ecuador, I see a manager who was genuinely terrified of the matchup.
You are absolutely spot on. It wasn't empty coach speak at all. It was justified pragmatism, and it's based on a massive structural flaw in his own team.
The scoring, right?
Yes, yeah. The exact same data that shows Ecuador only conceded 5 goals in 18 qualifying matches also reveals that they severely struggled to score.
Right.
They only managed 14 goals in those same 18 matches.
I mean, they averaged less than a goal a game. It seems to me like building a world-class counterpunching boxer, but putting him in the ring with an opponent who absolutely refuses to throw a punch.
That's a great analogy.
Ecuador's entire vertical, high-intensity system relies on the opponent trying to attack them, right?
Yeah.
Because that leaves space in behind for quick transitions.
Precisely. Bekasage knew that if Curaçao parked the bus, dropping all 11 men behind the ball into a really deep, compact block, Ecuador would have to rely on slow, creative build-up play to pick the lock.
Which is just not what they do.
Not at all. It's not their strength. They want to press, they want to win the ball high and attack disorganized defenses. When a team refuses to leave their defensive third, there is no space to transition into.
So his fear was that his team simply lacked the final third creativity to break down a stationary wall.
Exactly.
And looking at the 90-minute siege on the pitch, I mean, his fears were entirely warranted. The statistical domination by Ecuador is just staggering on paper.
Oh, the numbers are wild.
They held 75% possession. They completed 642 passes compared to Curaçao's 223.
Wow.
They had 103 entries into the final third, forced 9 corner kicks to 0, and took 27 shots.
27 shots.
Yeah. And Moises Caicedo played 111 passes, completing 99 of them, and logged an 8.2 rating on SofaScore. He was basically allowed to orchestrate the entire game from the middle of the park.
He was. But this is where the mechanics of Curaçao's defensive setup become a masterclass in spatial control.
How so?
Well, Advocate set them up in a 5-4-1 defensive block. So that's 5 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 1 lonely striker up top.
Just totally isolated.
Yeah, but they didn't even try to contest the midfield. They deliberately bypassed possession entirely. In their qualifying campaign, they averaged almost 33 accurate long balls a match, which was the highest in their region.
Interesting.
They recognized that trying to play short passes through Caicedo's pressing zone was just tactical suicide.
So they effectively said, we don't want the ball in the middle third of the pitch. You guys can just have it.
Yep, have at.
Which completely explains the defensive metrics we saw. Curaçao logged 31 clearances to Ecuador's 17.
They were just booting it away.
And the defensive work from players like Joshua Brenet and Cheryl Floranis was immense. I mean, Floranis walked away with a 7.6 SofaScore rating almost entirely from absorbing pressure and blocking passing lanes.
It's exhausting work.
And the Bacuna brothers in midfield essentially ran a marathon, just shifting side to side to keep the block compact.
And that compact block directly caused Ecuador's blunt edge. I mean, generating 3.08 expected goals from 27 shots tells a very specific story.
What does that tell us?
It means their per-shot XG was hovering around 0.11.
Ah, okay.
So they weren't getting clean one-on-one breakaways. They were taking low percentage, really rushed shots through a total forest of legs.
You definitely see that in Ener Valencia's performance. Their 36-year-old captain, a guy who actually holds the national record for World Cup goals, he missed 4 big chances in this match.
4 of them?
Yeah. He had the ball in premium positions, but he was always under extreme physical pressure. And when it wasn't him missing, it was just pure bad luck. Like Angelo Preciado coming on as a sub and just rattling the crossbar late in the second half.
But that's the thing. The tactical design of a 5-4-1 low block against a team that struggles to create is meant to induce exactly that kind of frustration.
Right.
The psychological toll is immense. The more Ecuador pressed, the more chances they snatched at and missed, and the tighter and more resolute Curaçao became.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is. Curaçao put on a clinic in conceding space in low-danger areas like, sure, letting Ecuador pass it around the wings 40 yards out, but then violently protecting the high-value central areas inside the penalty box.
Put yourself in the shoes of an Ecuadorian attacker in that scenario for a second. You have the ball constantly, you were taking shot after shot, but the moment you enter the 18-yard box, There are instantly 4 bodies throwing themselves right in front of you.
It's maddening.
It has to shift your mentality from, executing a game plan to just sheer panic. You start rushing the final pass because that spatial window closes in half a second.
It does. However, packing the box with a 5-4-1 doesn't magically stop shots from happening entirely, right? It just dictates where they happen from and lowers the quality of the chain.
Right. They still took 27 shots.
Exactly. Because of that sheer volume of attempts, your last line of defense has to be absolutely flawless. You are essentially funneling the entire outcome of the match onto the shoulders of one man.
Which brings us to the performance of a lifetime. Eloy Room, the Curaçao goalkeeper.
Incredible performance.
SofaScore grades every player on hundreds of data points, right? And Room earned a perfect 10.
Yeah.
A mathematically flawless rating. He made 15 saves, and 10 of those were from shots inside the penalty box. He individually prevented 2.48 expected goals.
To give some historical context for that, Tim Howard holds the modern World Cup record with 16 saves against Belgium back in 2014.
That legendary game.
Yep. Eloy Room finished just 1 save shy of tying that all-time record.
But the crucial difference there being that Tim Howard needed 120 minutes going deep into extra time to accumulate those 16 saves.
That's right.
Room faced this relentless condensed barrage in a flat 90 minutes. He was diving, parrying, smothering the ball through heavy traffic.
It was arguably the defining goalkeeping performance of the tournament thus far. But, context makes it even more extraordinary when you consider where his mentality was just a few days prior.
Oh, exactly. I mean, just a week ago, the same goalkeeper was fishing the ball out of his own net 7 times against Germany.
7 times.
When you suffer a 7-1 thrashing on a global stage, as a goalkeeper, your mistakes are literally illuminated on a giant scoreboard for the whole world to see. It has to be the most psychologically isolating position in sports.
Oh, without a doubt.
You can't sub out, and you can't just go hide in a defensive block.
You're all alone. The mental fortitude required to recover from a 7-goal deficit and then deliver a perfect 10 performance days later is just staggering.
It really is.
But Room's performance against Ecuador served a massive tactical purpose beyond just stopping the ball. It acted as a psychological anchor for the 10 men standing in front of him.
That makes total sense. It fundamentally changes the brain chemistry of the defenders. If you're a center back and you watch your keeper make an impossible point-blank save from a star like Valencia in the first 15 minutes, it acts as a force multiplier.
It totally does.
You transition from hoping you survive the 90 minutes to genuinely believing you are invincible. The defenders start thinking, if he is tracking the ball that perfectly today, I am going to throw my body in front of the next shot to make his job easier.
Exactly. The resilience becomes entirely contagious.
Contagious is the perfect word.
He single-handedly shifted the psychology of his team from fear to defiance. And that defiance, that sheer belief, it didn't just stay contained to the pitch.
Yeah.
The emotional fallout from this match is a reminder of why international tournaments carry so much weight.
The on-the-ground reporting from the Straits Times really captured that beautifully.
Yeah, they had great coverage.
They highlighted Carl Reuter, a 39-year-old reporter from Curaçao's biggest newspaper.
Oh, I read about him.
He was literally in tears in the press box at Arrowhead Stadium. He talked about remembering a time when only a handful of local reporters even bothered to cover the national team back in Willemstad.
Oh.
And now...
Yeah.
He's sitting alongside the global sports media, watching his tiny island hold off a South American giant.
The players felt the weight of that history just as heavily, too.
Oh, for sure. Forward Gervain Castanier actually had this incredibly raw quote after the game. Yeah, he mentioned that even the toughest, biggest guys on the squad were just crying and dancing in the locker room.
That's amazing.
He pointed out that they've cried so much on this trip already because they deeply understand what being on this stage means to their people back home.
Absolutely.
And you really can't talk about this journey without highlighting Jean Francisca.
The architect of it all.
Right. He started the Road to the World Cup project 23 years ago. He spent over 2 decades searching the globe for players with Curaçaoan heritage to slowly build the foundation of this national team.
It's incredible.
23 years of meticulous scouting and administrative work culminating in this one miraculous, historic point.
It really is the pinnacle of a multi-generational effort. Though, amidst all the tears and the heavy emotional weight of the moment, Eloy Room still found a way to break the tension.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
He walked out to the mixed zone after the match and casually joked to the press, "I think I need a statue in Curaçao."
I mean, at this point, they should already be casting the bronze.
Right.
But, as beautiful and romantic as this story is, tournament football is incredibly unforgiving, and the math of Group E just became claustrophobic.
It really did. The standings don't care about moral victories.
Hmm.
Let's look at the reality of the group stage after this draw.
Okay, so Germany is already safely through to the next round. They beat Ivory Coast 2-1 and sit comfortably at the top of the table with 6 points.
Yeah.
Ivory Coast is in second place with 3 points. And then you have Ecuador and Curaçao tied at the bottom with 1 point each. Curaçao kept their dream alive with this draw, but they still have to play Ivory Coast in their final game. Meanwhile, Ecuador is forced into a do-or-die match against a dominant German side. If you put yourself in Curaçao's position right now, looking at the table, the tactical requirements for the next match shift dramatically.
They really do. And this is where we have to balance the emotional high of the 0-0 draw with the brutal mathematics of advancement.
Numbers.
Yeah. The point against Ecuador was heroic, but Curaçao is carrying a horrific goal difference because of that 7-1 loss to Germany.
Ah, right.
They're sitting at a -6 goal differential. In a tournament format, that means a tie against Ivory Coast in their final match is mathematically useless for them.
Because goal difference is the primary tiebreaker.
Exactly. Goal difference is king. They absolutely must win their final match to have any hope of advancing.
Which means the 5-4-1 low block that just saved their lives against Ecuador is totally useless against Ivory Coast.
Yep, they ain't use it.
They have to come out of their defensive shell. They have to actively pursue possession and actually try to score, which is going to expose them to counterattacks.
Precisely. They have to abandon the very tactic that brought them success.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Ecuador is caught in their own tactical nightmare.
How so?
Well, they have this elite defensive spine that can shut down almost anyone, but their total inability to score in the final third now faces the ultimate test against Germany. If Ecuador couldn't break down Curaçao with 27 shots and 75% possession, how do they plan to outscore a German machine that just put up 9 goals in 2 games?
That is a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, both teams are walking into tactical traps in their final matches.
The strategic puzzles these managers have to solve in the span of a few days are just mind-bending.
Truly.
But looking at the sources we've dissected today, I think the core takeaway here is profoundly inspiring. We live in an era of international football that is dominated by multi-million-dollar superstars, where underlying data, expected goals, and vast financial resources usually dictate the outcome before the ball is even kicked.
Usually, yeah.
But this match proved that a meticulously executed defensive plan, combined with unparalleled individual resilience like Eloy Room's perfect 10, can still completely neutralize a statistical behemoth. A tiny island nation stood toe-to-toe with an elite South American powerhouse and completely dictated the terms of engagement.
It really highlights the human element, right? Like the frustration of missed chances, the momentum built by a goalkeeper's early saves that just cannot be fully captured by an expected goals algorithm.
It can't. However, there is one final strategic wrinkle to this story that makes the upcoming conclusion to Group E absolutely fascinating, and it is something that hasn't really been heavily discussed in the mainstream coverage yet.
Ooh, what is it?
It involves the FIFA FairPlay tiebreaker rules.
Oh, right.
In the World Cup group stage, if teams are tied on points and then tied on overall goal difference and tied on goals scored, the governing body looks at their disciplinary record to determine who advances. A yellow card deducts 1 point from a team's fair play score. A red card deducts even more.
I see where you're going with this.
And here is the dark side of Curaçao's survival against Ecuador. To maintain that compact block, to stop those 103 final third entries and break up the rhythm before Ecuador could penetrate the penalty box, Curaçao had to rely heavily on tactical fouls.
Yeah, they were pretty physical.
Right. In the second half alone, as the pressure really mounted, they racked up 5 yellow cards.
Which leaves them with a -5 fair play score in the standings overall.
Exactly. So as you watch Group E conclude, I want to leave you with this provocative strategic question to mull over.
Okay.
In the desperate scramble of the group stage, where even a third-place finish might advance a team to the knockout rounds depending on the math across other groups, could the very fouls that Curaçao utilized to save their historic point be the exact mathematical tiebreaker that ultimately eliminates them?
Wow.
You take the deliberate yellow card to stop the breakaway, knowing it preserves the 0-0 draw today, but that same yellow card might be the exact metric that sends you home tomorrow.
It is the ultimate paradox of tournament survival. You are forced to mortgage your future just to guarantee you survive the present.
It really makes you think about the hidden costs of the defensive masterclass. Sometimes refusing to let the heavyweight land a punch means you have to play a little dirty in the clinch.
Mm-hmm.
We will see if that calculated risk pays off and if their defensive wall can hold up under an entirely different kind of pressure against Ivory Coast.